We're back. We're done with Queen 1. We're back to Flash Gordon. We're still doing reprises, I guess. So, in the Death Cell, the love theme reprise. Next on Crown Jewels. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Crown Jewels here on the PLD Projects Network. I'm your host, PLD, and this is the podcast where I'm taking you on a journey through the entirety of the Queen catalog, song by song, version by version, chronologically, so we can figure out which version is the titular Crown Jewel or best version that we can slide into our ultimate playlist. I give you some notes, some quotes, if I have them, and I see if the song slides into my top 10 Queen-related tracks of all time. And this is our first time back to full episodes because we have been dealing with Queen 1, the Collector's Edition box set, which gave us so many different new versions of songs we'd already gone through episode-wise back in the original early days of the podcast. We are back for full episodes, although honestly it might not seem like that for a little bit anyway, because the Flash Gordon soundtrack we are in, there's quite a few tracks that don't have any alternatives to listen to, and they're all pretty short tracks, so not a whole lot to talk about, and probably not many notes or quotes, to be completely honest. But I am committed to doing a episode per track. Every track will get a dedicated episode, even if it's a 5-minute episode. Hey, sometimes that's the way the cookie crumbles, but we're gonna get through it bit by bit. And this week, like I said, we're returning to where we were, where we left off. We are now going to take on In the Death Cell, the love theme reprise. If this is your first time here, please leave that like, subscribe, leave comments, help us fight the evil algorithm. We got all that stuff going on. But if this is your first time here, this is how we do things. I'm going to give you some credits. If I have some notes and quotes, I'll give you them as well. I don't have any this week, I'm not going to lie. And then we will listen to the track, and then we'll talk about it. Well, how do we listen to the track? Well, it's pretty easy. I don't want to get a copyright strike, so we're not going to listen along here. What I did instead, in the show notes, I have a link to a Google Doc. On that Google Doc will be the links to YouTube versions of the songs that are the tracks, the versions that we're going to talk about. So when I tell you, you're going to pause me, you're going to go to that link, you're going to listen, and then you're going to come back and you're going to listen to me talk about it. So let's get into it. The Death Cell Love Theme Reprise is written by Roger Taylor, and honestly, for a Queen song, like much of the Flash Gordon soundtrack, this was recorded separately. It's really the rhythm section. That's all there is to it. No Freddie, no Brian. It's Roger on drums, timpani, and synthesizer, and John Deacon on guitar. That's right, John Deacon on guitar. Kind of a strange setup as things usually go. Obviously, John's the bass player, so Brian usually plays guitar. John will play guitar on his own tracks on occasion, but Roger would also be one who would play guitars on his own tracks for occasion. So I would be interested in hearing the story of how John got to play guitar on this track. Maybe he was just the one in the studio that day. I'm not sure. But that's all I really have. There's no notes on it. Really, there's no quotes on it. It's a very short song, so we can go ahead and listen to it. I want to tell you that on the sheet I have put a link to 2 tracks. One of them is from In the Space Capsule, the love theme. That is from a couple tracks ago. I put that link in there in case you want to listen to that for reference, as the reprise is really not a whole heck of a lot different, but you can see what the differences are. So it's time now. Pause me, go listen to the track, and come back and we shall talk about it. And there you have it, In the Death Cell, the love theme reprise. Again, if you listen to both tracks, it's not a whole heck of a lot different. Obviously, it's a different part of the movie. At this point, Flash Gordon is locked up in the death cell waiting execution, and Dale comes in to talk to him, and they've started kindling this love affair at this point. It's basically the same thing as before. The droning synths are really the driving force behind the 2-minute and 48-second song. It's a bit sparse. A bit maybe quicker on the tempo, just a bit. There's no big drums in the first one. The first one had the drums because they were still traveling to Mongo City from Earth. They had the big kind of like symbolizing the drums, the movement of the vehicle. This is not like that. There is a slow, steady beat towards the end. Perhaps it's the March to Oblivion. I don't know exactly, but it is a bit more sparse, a bit more somber. Just keeps droning on. But the droning on part is really cool. It's very otherworldly. otherworldly, very psychedelic, very 80s sci-fi. It fits the part perfectly, really, honestly. But again, if you like the first one, the original love theme, then you'll probably like the reprise. It's not a whole heck of a lot different. But that's really all there is, guys. There's not much else to talk about today. So let's go on to our favorite part. What's the crown jewel? Well, that's an easy one too. It's gonna be the album version. That's all we got. So we're stuck with it whether we like it or not. Now, do we like it on a scale of 1 to 11? Because we always turn things up to 11 here on PLD Projects. Where I gave the love theme original, gave it a 9. I'll give this one a 7. This one's get a little bit less impactful for me, but it is similar enough to more being better than the 5.5. I've been kind of giving these short and sweet songs throughout. But yeah, what can you say? Now, with that being said, a 7 does not slide you into the top 10 Queen-related tracks on PLD's list. You know that by now. All of them are at 10.5 and above. So, no can do there. But that's going to do it for this week, folks. Stay tuned. Next week, we will be talking about the next track, Execution of Flash, going from In the Death Cell to the Execution of Flash. Thank you so much. I hope you stick around for that one. And we get through the Flash Gordon project, because after Flash Gordon, we get to our first solo effort by the band Roger Taylor's Fun in Space, which really could be seen as a companion album to this in many ways, although that's a far more lyrical album. Roger sings a whole hell of a lot more, but it is kind of a synthy space kind of album, so I can't wait to get to that as well. But first things first, got a lot more Flash tracks to get through, so we will do that. If you do like it, like I said, all that like, subscribe stuff, I already said that before. We do have Patreon as well, patreon.com/PLDprojects. I usually get up these songs pretty early on in the week to get early access to these. If you want to get early access, that's great. I'm going to do another couple of podcasts on there. Some exclusivity will be there as well for my movie side of things that I do on my main YouTube channel on the audio side of things. But yeah, if you can't help that way, I totally get it. I understand completely. Help out any way you can. Like, comment, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. But otherwise, I'm hoping that you're enjoying what you're hearing. Let me know in the comments what you think. And stay tuned to next week, the Execution of Flash. Take care, everybody.